This was my first investment property in St. Louis that I bought for only $20,000. Now I'm selling it for $175,000. This is what happened. This was my first rental property in St. Louis. So at that time, I was living in California, engaged, and our plan was to move to St. Louis to start a family. And before I moved to St. Louis, my father-in-law had helped us buy this property. So we had closed on this property before I even moved here. So we bought this place for $20,000 in 2010. Over 6 months, we put about $80,000 into it. This was the first time me ever fixing anything up. I am not handy at all. I actually call myself one of the worst handymen in the world, but just through determination and grit, we got this thing up and running. We had a little bit of help. We kind of patched everything together. But after 6 months, we got it past inspection. Soon after that, it was fully rented for $2,000 a month. At that time, our rent in South City was $550. So we owned this house free and clear, $2,000 a month gross, but our rent was $550. So it was kind of like a house hack. I want you to think about living in one unit and renting out the rest, or fully renting this one out and paying for your mortgage or your apartment somewhere else. It's kind of like a different way to house hack. When I bought this property, I really didn't know the neighborhoods of St. Louis. So I consider this a D-class neighborhood. Didn't know any better, but luckily I've had a lot of really great tenants over the years. I tended to do well with immigrant tenants, and I've had a lot of immigrant tenants in here over the years, and they've stayed for a long time. Eventually they buy houses and they move usually to South County. But overall, I've had really great tenants over the years. With 4 families though, there are some tenants that either fall behind or are a nuisance. So I've had that over the years as well. But thank God, most of the tenants have been great. When I started, most of my tenants were through the International Institute of St. Louis. So that is an institute where as immigrants come to St. Louis, they set them up with apartments, furniture, English lessons, and they would actually pay 6 months of rent for them to get started here. So after 6 months, the tenant starts paying the rent. They usually find a job by then, some kind of warehouse job, food, packaging, whatever. But the immigrant tenants did pretty well, and they've always paid on time. With immigrant tenants, they tend to work hard and don't want much trouble. So even if they make low hourly salaries, they're usually good at saving and paying their rent. Over the years, I've had some rental assistance, usually through like Catholic charities or things of that nature. So I've had rental assistance before and during COVID, but most of the time, even if they have low wages, they are able to pay their rent on time. These are all market tenants. They're not Section 8. Nothing like that. And this is an affordable housing area, so it's not really high absorbent rents. Some people do have issues here and there, even though it's a low amount, but it's about half of what market rent would be in North County or in other parts of St. Louis. The average tenant in this building stays with me from 3 to 6 years, and eventually they bought their own house or got married or what have you. So my philosophy is that whenever a renter comes in here, I don't raise the rents on them that much. So over the years, I haven't really raised rents at all on people. So a lot of times they stay here for 5, 6, 7, 8 years because I don't raise the rents on them. But I do have to raise rents eventually as utilities get higher, taxes get higher. So whenever I do an increase 5 years later, it's usually $50 to $100. So that has enabled me to keep the tenants here a long time. Usually if you have really nice places and you want to maximize rent and raise rent every year, that's fine. But then there's a risk of them moving out and then you have to turn over the property again, thousands of dollars, time, effort, and things of that nature. So I like my model of just keeping the rents the same for a long time with gradual increases. You keep your tenants in there much more long term. This building is over 100 years old. So there's a lot of deferred maintenance. I've done a lot of tuck pointing, roofing, basement stuff over the years, but this house is very old and still needs a lot of work, though it's still functional. I have decided that I am going to sell this property. My first property in St. Louis, I'm selling. So right now it is under contract for $175,000 with the actual after repair value of $290,000. So the person buying it is gonna put money into this, fix it all up, increase the value, increase the rents, and make it a more valuable asset. But since this was my first property, there's a lot of sentimental value for me and my wife. But now it's time to move on to bigger and better things. I'm hoping to be in a better neighborhood, a better area, a suburb. I'm gonna roll that money with a 1031 exchange to a single family home in the county. When deciding to invest, what you wanna do first is probably talk to a realtor, preferably someone with investment experience. Not all realtors know about investment properties. You wanna talk to them to see what your budget is, what kind of rehab you wanna do, and then you wanna decide what area you're gonna invest in, right? Are you gonna invest in South City? Are you gonna invest in North County, Mid County, University City? You wanna decide on a pocket that works for you. After that, you want to look at properties, make offers on properties, and try to get into one. While you're doing that though, you wanna have a contractor lined up. You wanna build your vendor list of electricians, plumbers, if you're not handy yourself. So those are some initial steps to get you going. If this seems all daunting to you, I'm here to help you. So feel free to email, text, or call me, and I'd be happy to talk to you about your goals in St. Louis real estate. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one.